welcome to the Masters of Consciousness channel. I'm glad you're with us today, because we share real wisdom that touches deeply down to the essence of existence. And today we're addressing an extremely important and personal question. Why do I get sick? Hello, dear traveler of consciousness, who at this very moment chooses to pause and direct your attention to what really matters. Illness. That word can evoke fear, anxiety, pain, but it also asks us to stop and look deeper. You may wonder, why is this happening to me? And that question brings us closer to the core of the truth that can change the way we live. Illness is not just a signal from the body. It's a message from our entire being, from our emotions, thoughts, experiences, and past choices. It is an invitation to integrate, to heal, to return to wholeness. And although it may seem to bring suffering and isolation, it truly opens doors to deeper self-understanding, to awareness we never had the courage to touch before. When we ask, why am I sick? We're not just seeking a medical explanation, we're searching for a key to our inner world. That question can lead us through an emotional labyrinth: sadness, anger, fear, grief, and invite us to hold them with love and acceptance. Every emotion we deny or reject can find its outlet through the body. Illness becomes a wise teacher that shows us what has been unnoticed, wounded, or unhealed. If we look closely, with curiosity and without judgment, we uncover patterns, maybe excessive self-sacrifice, suppressed anger, a deep sadness that has been crying out to be heard. By being ill, we meet our imperfection, our humanity, and paradoxically, our greatest gift becomes our vulnerability. In that vulnerability lies a vast strength to see ourselves as we are, with all our scars. The healer is within you. You can be your own best doctor if you open up to listening to your body, soul, and the still, small voice within. When we speak of this, we shift the focus from fighting illness to meeting it as part of ourselves, part of this human journey. And in that acceptance, space opens for true healing, for the restoration of harmony between body, mind, and heart. It's an invitation to become an investigator of your own experience and to build a relationship of love with what's happening. Instead of reacting with fear and judgment, you can ask, what do I need right now? To what kind of care is this inviting me? How can I support myself, my soul through this process? And in that kindness, like a gentle light, even the deepest darkness can be illuminated. And when you allow yourself this encounter with illness, you discover that it is not your enemy but an ally, a teacher that respectfully asks, are you listening? Are you feeling? Are you allowing yourself to be guided? And then real alchemy occurs. From pain comes wisdom, from suffering arises compassion, and from isolation sprouts true community within you and around you. Because although illness can confine you to your body for a long time, it simultaneously opens the doors of the heart, inviting you to drop all masks and pretenses to take your place vulnerable, authentic, human. Why do I get sick? Because my body and soul want to tell me something. They want me to stop chasing endless goals. They want me to slow down, breathe, see what is really happening. They may ask me to withdraw, rest, say no to what destroys and yes to what heals: freedom, love, closeness, presence. Illness can then bring an extraordinary gift: a new perspective, new priorities, a new quality of life. It may harm us not only through external factors, but through ourselves by ignoring who we are, pushing ourselves, abandoning spontaneity, silencing our intuition. When illness appears, its voice becomes loud, insistent, and impossible to ignore. Then we may realize that our life was like a house built on weak foundations, appearing stable, yet riddled with cracks that sooner or later burst open. Illness is that moment when the structure wobbles, and if we use this moment, we can rebuild the foundations with new awareness, new care for ourselves and others. Illness also teaches humility, reminds us that our capacities are limited, that life is fragile, that we don't control everything. And this is beautiful because within that truth arises true freedom from the illusion of omnipotence, freedom from pretending everything is as it was, freedom to ask for help, to receive support, to truly be together. In that genuine community grows the power of healing, not in solitary heroic gestures but in quiet presence, understanding, a touch, conversation, a wordless glance. When you're ill, you may perceive life in a different rhythm, the rhythm of silence, breath, and heartbeat. You might find meaning in small gestures, a sip of warm tea, a ray of sunshine, a hand's warmth, the comfort of a blanket, the peace of the world. And this is the gift of illness, learning gratitude for what was always there but eluded us in the rush. You may realize that true life is not a race to the top, but a mystical journey, a passage from fear to trust, from separation to unity, from loneliness to togetherness. And if the question, "Why do I get sick?" resonates in your soul, the answer, though not easy, emerges. Because this is part of the human path. Because in illness lies a plea for authenticity, for closeness, for listening to silence, for boundless love. Because within it is contained the great truth. Love yourself even when you are sick, and you will discover that you are much greater than the illness. Illness as a teacher is not just a metaphor, but a true act of meeting yourself, meeting the deepest part of your being. Different spiritual traditions echo this. They say illness reminds us of our separation from ourselves, from others, and from something greater than us. In Buddhism, illness is seen as one aspect of suffering, one of the fundamental truths about the fragility of life we must learn to grow. In Christian tradition, suffering is even described as redemptive suffering, suffering that allows us to participate in something greater. This doesn't mean we seek pain. On the contrary, it's the affirmation of the value of this path. If it comes, illness arrives so that our inner self can grow toward deeper integration, greater love, greater trust. Viktor Frankl, founder of logotherapy, said that humans must find meaning even in suffering, and that even in concentration camps, the meaning of life could be the anchor of survival. Illness, as a special form of suffering, can become a path of meaning, a path where we discover that our freedom doesn't depend on circumstances, but on the choice of our attitude. Practically, this path begins with pausing and listening to what the body, emotions, soul wish to tell us. A book on the spiritual meanings of illness states that illness arises when we refuse change, when we don't accept some aspect of ourselves or life. It's an invitation to look with curiosity at what we resist. Is it fear, anger, a need to rest? Without judgment, simply kindly and attentively. In healing practices, there's the concept of soul loss, when part of us separates because of trauma, emotional overload, or chronic stress. Often we don't realize we're only living a fragment. Through illness, we may lose energy, joy, sense of purpose. The return to wholeness can happen if we choose to gather the scattered pieces of ourselves, ancient shards of shame, sorrow, helplessness. Sometimes a simple gesture, a breath, presence of a loved one, a small act of self-kindness begins the return. Louise Hay, a renowned speaker and author on healing linked illnesses with emotional patterns, headaches with overthinking, tension with not letting go, coughs with inability to speak your truth. Wherever symptoms appear, it's always worth asking, what am I trying to stop? What is being suppressed in me? Where am I not allowing myself to be authentic? It's all part of the process in which the entire being, not just the body, evolves. It's sometimes called metanoia, transformation, born from the collapse of an old structure and emergence of a new quality of being. Illness can be that catalyst to break the old pattern, enabling entry into something more alive and whole. That doesn't mean you have to love the pain, but you can embrace it to see, what direction do I want to move away from? What voice arises from silence? Illness can also be a gateway to community, reminding us that we are not alone. In illness, we may feel how a gentle touch, presence, glance, or thought means more than the greatest achievements. Spiritual masters say we learn most through gentleness, and this is the healing dimension that medicine often overlooks. because it's not only about symptoms subsiding, but about returning to full being in the world. When you accept illness as a teacher, you open yourself to a process that can transform your whole existence. In this process, it's vital to find meaning even in suffering. Viktor Frankl taught that even in the most extreme conditions like living in a concentration camp, a person can find a reason to survive, the freedom of choosing one's attitude toward what happens. It's the moment when you can say, "I'm suffering, but it won't take away my humanity. I can give this meaning." That is the essence of logotherapy, finding meaning where it seems not to exist. Combining this wisdom with Louise Hay's approach, we see that negative thoughts and emotions, criticism, rage, guilt can permeate the body and manifest as illness. When you begin to ask, "What am I trying to stop? What's blocked inside me?" you open the door to healing, not only through medications, but through shifting beliefs, practicing forgiveness, and loving yourself. It's an invitation to healing that flows from the depths of your being. In this way, illness ceases to be a sentence, it becomes a bridge to a renewed self. You become the creator of your life, even if sometimes you must begin with a tiny step, a mindful breath, a brief prayer, a moment of silence, a conversation with someone dear. In that humility, true strength blooms. And now we arrive at the moment your heart yearns for. Are you ready to let illness carry you toward deeper unity with yourself, with others, with life? Will you accept your vulnerability as an invitation to authenticity? Because in that authenticity, love is born, the most powerful healer. Therefore, the ethos of our journey is, be present with yourself. Listen to your body and heart. Give yourself permission to breathe, to be gentle, to be honest with what is. By caring for yourself in this moment, you create space for life to flow through you fully. Thank you for your attention, for joining this journey into the question, why do I get sick? If this video opened space within you, join us for more episodes where we seek life's wisdom together. If this message touched you, give it a thumbs up. Share in the comments what moved your heart most, and subscribe to stay with us on this path of consciousness and healing. Stay tuned, let's be together until we fully bloom. See you in the next episode on the Masters of Consciousness channel.